Yo, what's going on, guys? So as you know from the last video, I had an undetected clutch issue cause my RB30 engine to fail. Now, most people in this scenario would be devastated by their engine failing, but you know, for me it's a little bit different. I had 2 summers worth of good fun with this car, 16,000 kilometers on the engine, and you know, I'm honestly a little excited for the next step in this build, for the next phase. So rather than being devastated and upset over it, I'm going to give you guys 5 reasons why I'm happy that my engine failed. So number 1 on this list is going to be bodywork. Over the past couple of years I've had this car wrapped a bunch of different colors, just 2 actually. Red when I did it myself, way back in the day, and then 2 years ago I had it done professionally in this Nardo gray. And the car looked great from afar, maybe even up close to some of you guys, but with it being my own prized possession, some of the little things that didn't really catch my attention at first have just begun to get louder and louder in a sense, and stick out more and more to me like a sore thumb. So maybe it's just me being picky, but little edges like that show seams that aren't fully connected around the car, edges that are peeling off. Again, with the seams, corners not being perfect, visible seams, and not to mention the wrap right above my turbo has begun to discolor. So this isn't a knock on the person who did this wrap, because I've seen tons and tons of vehicles with the same issue, and it's just hard to get it perfect with wrap. So, suffice to say, I think I'm done with the wrap game. It's a great option for quick color changing, color changing from year to year, but I've had this car for like 4 or 5 years now. I'm looking for something a little bit more permanent. Wrap, don't get me wrong, is great, but I think the next step for me is to just paint it. This is something I wanted to do from the get-go, but the circumstances never really allowed it. So now that with the car being parked indefinitely, I've got more than enough time to go ahead and prep the whole car to actually be painted. So the color that I'm deciding to go with is actually this OEM burgundy of the vehicle. This car was imported in 2009, and I actually came across a pretty cool picture of this car the very first day that it was brought home by the first owner. I'll put it up right here. So yeah, super nice and clean, and honestly, it's not a color that you see on R33s anymore, so I want to do a throwback to 93, the way this car was painted way back somewhere in Japan. So as far as fiberglass work goes on this thing, the first thing that I want to point out is all the rivets and hardware holding this rear quarter panel in. So one thing I did differently from the red wrap to the Nardo is I switched to threaded inserts and a hex bolt to hold these in. The one thing that I don't like about these is how bulky and how much they stick out. And over the past 2 years, to me, they've just been getting bigger and bigger to the point that I just can't deal with them anymore. So this panel is going to come off, the kit's going to be flush mounted, and I'm going to figure out a way to fill in this gap here. I'm going to mount the side skirts better as well, and have this thing really looking OEM. This is going to be a project for another video. I do have something planned to get this to sit a little bit better, but in the meantime, just peeling the wrap off. One thing that I know you guys might be excited for is a new windshield on this thing. I've been getting comments since day 1 to change my windshield, and honestly I got the 240 windshield changed in the span of a couple months of driving it, but let's put it this way, that 240 windshield costs $200 mobile installed. An R33 windshield, on the other hand, is $1,000, and that's if you can find one locally. If you have to ship one from Japan, you're looking at $1,000 plus freight. So, for those of you guys wondering why it's taking me so long to change this windshield, there's your answer right there. Okay, so I've already started taking the wrap off of this side. I found that using a steamer works great, so I'm going to go ahead and try to unwrap the whole car as quick as possible. It's a very tedious process, so I'm probably going to put you guys on a time lapse and we'll go from there. Alright, so as you can see, this is a pretty tedious process. It took us about 25 minutes to unwrap the hood. Some of the parts on the hood didn't even come off. This is the part right above the turbo, so that shit's probably caked on there pretty good. But once we get to the fender and the door, you guys will see it comes off pretty easily. Alright, so I pretty much got the front end of the car unwrapped, and I'm gonna leave it at that because you guys aren't here to see me unwrap this thing. So on to the next reason. Alright, number 2 reason why I'm happy that my engine failed is the car needed some major work elsewhere. More specifically, in the rear end. I put these adjustable upper control arms in, and this bushing right there failed. So that upper control arm bushing was clunking and banging on literally every bump that I hit on the road, and it was just ruining the driving experience for me. It just wasn't fun to drive knowing that, you know, the suspension components weren't at 100%. I'll show you what I mean. It moves ever so slightly, but yeah, you can see it right there. It's moving. Babe, don't drop this car on me.
Oh, sorry.
That little control arm bushing right there, really took the enjoyment out of the car. And I drove all the way to Vancouver like that, and by the time I got back, I just wanted to park the thing. And you might ask, why didn't I just park it and work on it? But it was my daily driver. A lot of you guys don't know, but this car was my daily driver, and I drove it every day for the past 2 summers, up until that fateful night. This next part right here is kind of bittersweet. My suspension coilovers are kind of leaking all around, and I was sourcing coilovers for this thing for a while, finding something that would suit my application, which is a street car that handles and performs like a track car. And I finally found a set of coilovers that I was excited to use. David Lopez down in California was super helpful and a great guy to work with, and he hooked me up with these coilovers, which are 32-way adjustable, ride height, 32-way dampening, and not to mention custom spring rates and custom valving. So these coilovers were specifically custom made for my vehicle. I got them made with 12K springs up front and 8K springs in the back. Now, these coilovers I was super excited to work on and to put them on, kind of get a feel for them, what a good set of coilovers would feel like on my car. And literally while I was waiting for these in the mail is when the RB30 shit the bed. So unfortunately these are gonna have to wait until springtime to get a feel for them and see how they ride. But for the meantime, they're just waiting. And there's other issues on the car that I'm going to address before I can get to installing those, such as that control arm bushing. So a huge thank you to David Lopez at Reaction and 5/8 Industries. He really hooked it up and helped me out to find the right set of coilovers that I needed for my vehicle. Number 4 reason why I'm happy my engine failed is so that I can make it better for next year. So with the engine setup that I had last year, I was making full boost around 4,500 to 4,700 RPM. And hit hard and make good power, but it's a little bit too late for me, especially being a street car. I want something that spools and hits closer to 4,000, 4,200. So I've opted to sell my turbo, sell my manifold, and I'm going to be going for a twin scroll setup. So an Auto Dream twin scroll manifold is in the works. I'm going to be going for a twin scroll Borg Warner turbo, and hopefully at the same power level I can make more power and make that power earlier as well. So I don't have those things yet. In fact, my engine isn't even here. I've got my replacement engine at the machine shop currently. So once those parts start coming in, I'm going to do another engine build series, and we're going to be working out the kinks that I had on the V1 RB30. So the V2 Frankenzilla is going to be coming soon. Stay tuned for those videos, and it's going to be nasty, trust me. Alright, so the fifth reason why I'm happy my engine blew, and this might be the most important reason of all, is it's a Skyline. This is literally my dream car, and I wouldn't rather work on anything else. If this car was anything else other than a Skyline, I probably would have given up on it, 2 or 3 years ago when I was in the same situation. And this car has really taught me, some life lessons. When you want something and you've got a dream that you're after, you don't stop no matter what gets in your way or what kind of hardships come across your path. You keep at it, and my hobby is working on cars and my passion is working on cars, so the fact that it's broken again and I get to work on it for another winter, that just makes me the happiest. I can revamp it, make it better, improve it, improvise it, refresh it, all that stuff. Do you ever play Forza and tinker with the same car every day over and over and over again? That's kind of the same thing that I've got going on with this. So, come next year, if something, knock on wood, something happens again, the process is going to repeat, and I'm going to enjoy that process. I know a lot of people out there are probably happy to see the car fail, but I'm not failing. I got my dream car, I get to work on it every day, surrounded by people that love me and people that I love. So everyone out there that's hating and is happy to see failure, take a look in the mirror. What do you got going for you? So yeah, just goes to show you, if you're after something and people are talking down on you or saying you can't do it, or whatever crazy people things are saying, just block that out. Do your thing, do whatever makes you happy, and this car is going to transform once again. It's going to go a rather big transformation this year. It's getting full body work done, full paint job, another RB30 build, and on the bright side, I'm getting a pretty early start on this. It's only September, so winter should be here in, I hate to say it, but winter will be here very soon, and with that comes project season. So car's got a spot, I've got a plan, and it's not over. Make sure you subscribe, follow me on Instagram if you want more updates. The video series will be coming back in full action. Thumbs up if you want to see the R33 back in its glory.